Alright, I'm gonna do one more. This one will probably be quicker, about 5 minutes. Basically, I'm just gonna be discussing where I've been, where I applied to, where I was accepted, um, and then I'll probably do another video of why I got accepted here, not other places, or something. I don't know. I'll figure something out. But where I applied to 20 MD programs as well as 12 DO programs. Um, Reasoning why, I suppose I'll just say it. My first MCAT attempt that I took when I was studying, while I was studying during night shift, like I told you guys not to do. Um, Unless your mind works like that, and if it does, kudos. But I got a 494 on my first MCAT. I knew that wasn't nearly good enough for anything. When I retook it again, retook it 3 or 4 months later and got a 499. I got accepted to a multitude of schools, and it comes down to, I don't know if it's because it's MD versus DO. I don't know. I'm not a part of an admissions committee for MD. I'm not a part of an admissions committee for DO. No idea why they looked at me, but they did. So, um, the schools that I applied to, MD wise, I didn't get a single interview to any MDs. I applied to a multitude of MDs that were all in Florida, as well as local to where I grew up in Nebraska, um, and a few other places. Some of the places that I was looking to apply to had a cutoff of 500, so if you had below a 500, they wouldn't even look at your application. It gets thrown out immediately. So you basically just waste, what is that? Secondary applications are about $100 on average a piece, and then primary is about 35, I think. So that's about $135 that you just throw out the window if you apply to those programs with a sub 500. Um, Cost wise, cost me about 6 grand to apply to all the programs. Yes, I did take out credit cards for it because that's a lot of money, and I was paid it off throughout the second gap year basically, while I was waiting for information to come back on whether or not I got accepted or not. The first school that I got an interview to was PCOM South Georgia. So PCOM South Georgia was the first school that gave me a chance, and sadly a hurricane came through that rescheduled my interview to after a few of the other schools that I got accepted to. I ended up getting accepted to Burrell first, to their Melbourne campus, and I would have loved to stay in Florida. However, they were also pre-accreditation at the time, so I didn't know for sure how I was going to work with loans, and I also wanted somewhere that had more clinical standpoint, and they had been working on it, and they're an amazing school. They're making great strides and everything. And I also kind of wanted a research school as well, so that way I could do research. Um, Burrell will offer everything for that as well. Uh, but it just came down to the fact of it being a new campus. It came down to the fact of not knowing about loans, and then it also came down to residency and third year, fourth year placement, where those are at. And there's a multitude of factors that you have to look into for personal sake. Mine also was that I want to be close to my mother, as I hadn't been around her since sophomore year of high school, because I moved my dad to Florida. So junior year, senior year, all of college, I was, as well as gap years, I was in Florida, and there'd be times where I'd only see my mother for like 1 week out of an entire year, because I would have time to go up to Nebraska for a week or two and spend time with her, as well as my grandmother who's had cancer and everything like that, and she can't get around as well. Another reason why I don't want to go to medicine for you, but that's pretty much what I went to and went through for that. And why I chose KCU over some of the other schools that accepted me, as I was later accepted to PCOM South Georgia. I was also given an interview invite to PCOM Georgia. Um, and same reason why I didn't apply there, why I didn't accept their offer. Burrell, same reason I didn't accept that and went to KCU. Um, then I also got interviews at ATSU, or ATSU in Kirksville. So AT Still University, the first osteopathic medical school. Um, Fantastic program. It's located in a very rural city, so there's not much to do, which I kind of enjoy as well. I don't like being in a hustle bustle big city. Living in Tampa was enough for that for me. Um, Traffic's a pain. Rent's expensive. Food's expensive. You have a lot of food choices. You have a lot of places you can go shop at. But I'm taking loans out for med school. Like I don't want to be in a big city where there's a chance of me going and wanting to be like, ooh, I want to buy this. I want to buy this. I want to buy this. It's like, do I need it? No. There's no reason to buy something with borrowed money. Um, Unless you have the money and you're trying to use like a credit card to get points, and then you have the money that you just pay off the card and get points, then that's like a different story entirely. But I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take financial advice from me. But one good thing to not do is don't use loans to buy things that you don't need. I think it's self-explanatory, but some people might need to hear it. So then I also got an interview to NYIT. I ended up not going to the ATSU one because it was an in-person one, and I was already accepted to KCU. I didn't really know the difference or think that there would be that much of a difference in me attending either school. Also, ATSU is further away from my mom. KCU there's a Kansas City and a Joplin campus, and both are closer if I attended either one compared to Kirksville. And that's just kind of how it is. The other one that I got accepted to, or I got an interview to, was in NYIT Arkansas. I liked the idea. I didn't expect to get anything from them. I got something from them late in the cycle. Um, and by that point, I had already been accepted and put on my deposit, which my deposit for KCU was $3,000. So you do $1,500 for the acceptance, then you get another $1,500 for the seat, like the confirmation that you're actually going to be attending. Two separate installments basically, and then you end up getting that 3,000 back after you attend school, and that's usually how it works for most osteopathic schools. Is Burrell was the same way. So I ended up spending $5,000 in total for seat deposits, as well as about $5 or $6 grand for the application cycle. So I spent 2,000 for Burrell because that was the first acceptance, and their deadline was coming up pretty quick compared to when I was going to get news from other schools. So I just put it down to save my seat just in case anything were to happen. So I lost $2 grand because of that, but in a way, it's a donation to a school that's in my dad's community and might prove useful. So it's not a bad thing. The other thing was that Burrell said clearly that you would be getting it back after you started. KCU said the same thing. So once you put down the deposit, it's not like you don't see it. You get it back. They literally send you $3,000 back. And also KCU is one of the first schools that's introducing ultrasound through this stuff. It's called Butterfly IQ. It's an ultrasound wand that you use with gel, and I can connect it to my iPad, which I got an iPad as well for KCU, which was neat. I already had an iPad, so I kind of have it sitting here in an unopened box. But you take this, plug it into your iPad, pulls up a database, and you can like quite literally just put gel on your forearm, and you can go through and you can like see you can see your radial veins and your arteries and muscle and all that stuff. It's really cool. And you can see, I don't know about bone. I haven't really messed with it too much other than like one class. It's more of a second year thing, or at least second semester or first year. But that was cool too. And it is an expensive device, and you can also upgrade it. But that's where some of the tuition money goes and stuff like that. Out of all the schools that I applied to for osteopathic and MD I did not get a single interview. Osteopathic wise, the only schools that I did not get anything from was Des Moines University, Midwestern University, and Campbell University. Campbell University, North Carolina, fantastic campus. I was looking at them for baseball and undergraduate. They got a lot of stuff. If you're in North Carolina, but they're also very, when you're applying to med school, some are very, very geographically preferenced. So they only like to accept, like, I think Marshall's an MD school up in West Virginia, I think. Don't quote me on that. And then Campbell in North Carolina, and then there's KU as well, Kansas University. All those schools, like the state schools, are very geographically preferenced, taking applicants from their state. And I think there's one school even in Georgia that 100% of their class comes from Georgia. Like if you apply there and you have no like, and you're not like from Georgia, the chance of you getting in is like null. Nothing. There's very little chance. Um, you have to have very extremely heavy ties to the state is basically what they say. Um, Midwestern, Chicago, they're a well-known university. I think my MCAT was just too low for them. But also it's kind of a blessing because their tuition is expensive, but they have a fantastic match list. And if you're not too concerned with debt and whatnot, then go there. I mean, if it's your own acceptance, take it. They're an amazing school. Every school is an amazing school, except for some. But you can do your own research on that. Um, all the schools that I applied to, I would have been happy to attend. I want to put that out there too. Like, if you are thinking that you could not possibly want to attend, I don't know. Let's say KCU, just because they go here. If you say, I could never see myself living in Kansas City, I could never see myself living in Joplin, I could never see myself living in Kirksville for ATSU, don't apply. It saves you money. It saves the admissions committee from also looking through your file and stuff like that and spending time trying to not recruit you because that's not really how it works. Um, you're recruiting them in a way. So just if you can't see yourself living there, if you can't see yourself end up being in that state, I would say don't apply. Um, because at the end of the day, most of the schools, if not all the schools, their plan and their hope is to train people that will stay in the state at which the school is located. That's why, like, ACOM is another one I applied to and I got accepted to. ACOM is very big on primary care and emergency medicine and everything like that. They have an amazing, fantastic new state-of-the-art hospital right across the street from right across the street from med school, and they're working on the remediation policy and stuff like that too. But you just have to do your own research where you would want to end up, what school has what you're looking to achieve as well. I chose KCU because they're one of the top, one of the OG5 osteopathic schools you can say, and then yeah, they have research. They have their price really isn't that bad in comparison to other osteopathic schools. Um, They have two areas that I grew up near Kansas City. I spent a multitude of summers playing baseball tournaments in Kansas City. Joplin is a small town. I really wouldn't mind being there either, um, because, like I said, if you go to a small town for medical school, you won't have other things to do other than study, and that's kind of the whole point. You don't want to have a nightlife, and you don't want to go say Miami. Nothing against you, Miami, but Miami is a very big city. There's a lot to do in Miami. As someone who's been to Miami, whose fiance has family that lives in Miami, there's a lot to do, and you can easily find yourself, if you're a party person, if you're an extrovert, if you like to go do those things, but you don't have much self control, that could be a downfall. It could. So a small town kind of forces me to not go out. It forces me to study. It forces me to interact with the community around me because it's a small community. Everybody kind of gets to know you. Everybody knows about your med school because they're from that small town. Um, so at the end of the day, you have to fix that. You have to figure that out yourself. But that's kind of my background on where I applied to, how much it cost me, um, why I chose to attend the school that I go to. Um, and there's a few gripes that I have with my school, as everyone has a few gripes with every school that they go to. They might not say it openly, because openly, if they put it out there, people say they'll dox themselves or admin will go after them. But truth is, I mean, if you're being, excuse my French, a dick, if you be a dick, or you be any kind of derogatory term towards people who are insensitive towards others, then you will probably get backlash to some extent. That's just how it is. But there are always things that can be improved at every university. No university is universal. Harvard's not universal. Like, they're considered the amazing, but me personally, I never experienced it. For some of the students there might be something like a way that a professor teaches. There might be a way that an exam's formatted. There might be a way that the grading is made That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense on why there's a grade for this when everything else is pass fail, or who knows what reason. There's always gripes. There's always things that people don't like. But it's a matter of if you're willing to make the change, or if it's like something that you truly, it's like something that really bothers you. Something that really bothers you, then I would second guess it, and I would do the research. I would look into talking to people. I would look into seeing everything. It's kind of how it goes. But what else do I want to add? Um, I'm fortunate also to be class of 2029, so Big Beautiful Bill doesn't affect me um, as much. Kind of does, but doesn't at the same time. So I'm technically grandfathered into the old loan where I can still get grad plus and stuff. But med school is expensive. I mean, as of now, my projected amount to be in loans after I get out is like 40 grand a year. I'd say if I took out max loans, 300 to 350,000, if not more, because that's just loan itself, not including interest. Because the way that grad school works is that you take out loans and then interest immediately starts accruing, and the rates are kind of dog crap in comparison to how they used to be. So you win some, you lose some. I go to a great university. I have no qualms. Every professor that I've ever interacted with here is fantastic. They'll meet with you on the weekends. Just send them an email and they'll literally pull up Zoom and be like, "So what's your question?" at noon on a Sunday, just because they care. So I wouldn't change where I went at all, and hopefully they will continue to look out for us students and then therefore help us match to wherever we wish to match. Um, and it all comes down to residency and board scores and everything like that. Um, so, yeah, that's pretty much my take on where I applied to med school and why I chose to go where I chose to go. Um, Fortunately, my fiance will be joining me next year, I believe, as long as, unless an MD offers her the interview and then a full ride, because she performed really well on the MCAT. She has a little bit less of a GPA than I did, but like you win some, you lose some, and the MCAT's the end all be all for most MD schools. If you don't have an MCAT that's matching their current class, then they don't care unless you have like a stellar extracurriculars. Like I mean, like publications at the wazoo. You were a nurse or in the military or you were um, something that's outside of the normal traditional pre-med going into med school. That makes sense. So um, comes down to grades, comes down to who you know, comes down to um, board scores, I guess, and pretty much what you do. What do you do with your time? Do you want to sit and watch YouTube and watch me? Thanks, but like if you want to be a medicine, you kind of got to get out there. You kind of got to get out there and volunteer. You got to get out there and find things that you enjoy for volunteering and hobbies, because there is sections where you can put on the AMCAS and on the ACOMAS application that literally is like hobbies, volunteering, research, clinical, non-clinical. So if you're doing something that, like, say you're working in fast food because you got to make bills, you can put non-clinical and you can put why you're doing it and you can put why you enjoyed the experience. Not everything has to be medicine, but you have to get out and do something. And even if you like to just read, or you're a bookworm, or you like working out, or you like making boats in a bottle or something, like hobby wise, you put that and it shows that you're human. And I think that kind of was what separated me and allowed me to get a lot of interviews beside my MCAT, and my GPA was good, so that was a plus. But my extracurriculars of the research, of the time spent, because I submitted my applications before I had even been accepted to my job at Gainesville Skin Cancer Center. So like I sent update letters, but that was after I had submitted my primary applications. So it comes down to that, and it comes down to how you write. It comes down to how you express it. It's the first time the interviewers are seeing, the first time the admission committee and the people reading the applications are seeing who you are. Are you somebody who they could see themselves working next to? Are you somebody who they could be like, it looks like they didn't really get out of high school much. It doesn't look like they really grew up after high school. They're doing good and they did well and everything, but they don't seem to be passionate. They don't seem to care, or they don't seem to want to be a part of our mission, want to be a part of what we strive to be every day. And if that's you, then it's just a matter of changing the way you express it. Because I'm sure everybody applying to med school wants to be there for patients. At least I hope so. And sometimes I'm an optimist, sometimes I'm a pessimist, but optimistically wise, if you want to be in medicine, more than likely you have had some experience that has been traumatic, has been negative, has been maybe really, really positive, and you had an amazing mentor in college that was a physician that taught you the ins and outs and took that extra time, or family member or something like that. And obviously, everybody's family member, no offense to anybody watching this, grandparents pass. Everybody passes. There's nobody that's immortal. So if you're going to take your entire time talking about how your grandmother was the light of your life and she passed, trust me, I've had multiple grandparents that passed. I have one more that's alive, and I try to spend as much time with her as I can. But if you focus your whole application on that, if you focus everything about that and not about what it happened, what caused it, and what was the after effects that it had on you, like how it made you want to pursue. Like for me, my grandmother passing due to a brain bleed, either from a fall or from a stroke. We don't know. We didn't do an autopsy, but because she passed so abruptly, and because of where she was located, the hospital that she was in her small town in Sidney, Nebraska. You can look it up if you want to. They didn't have a neurosurgeon on call. They didn't have someone on call or in that vicinity of the town that could perform the life-saving measures needed to save her. So they would have to airlift her to Denver, closest big city, and the chance of her passing in the transit between the two locations was too great. So my family ended up choosing not to treat her and letting her pass because of that. And that's one of the big final, it was the final uh, straw that broke the camel's back, you can say, for me deciding that this is what I want to do. Whether or not it's something like neurosurgery, which probably not going to happen because that's competitive. But it's all about your experience. What made you want to do this? What makes you want to be a part of that school? Is it because it's a big name school like Harvard, Duke, Yale, Brown? They're big name schools that everybody knows about in the United States that has at least been somewhat educated throughout high school or has access to social media or something. At least everybody that I've talked to, if you say something like that, they probably know what school you're talking about. That's how it is. It's a big name school. And yeah, they have a lot of financial opportunities. And if you go there, you could be the bottom of the class and still match into anything that you wanted to because of the name of the school. It's true. But is that why you're going? Or is it because of their outreach program? Is it because of their impact on the local community and you're from that local community? Like, hopefully that makes sense. But this one was a little bit longer just because of me putting my 2 cents in about why choosing a certain med school would be more beneficial for you than kind of shotgun blasting to every single school and dropping 10 grand. As I think there was someone in my cycle who applied to every single MD in the United States, which it costs a lot of money, and they submitted a lot of them, and they got a lot of interviews, and they got a lot of acceptances. It works. It's a lot of time. And once you start kind of on this process and you start going through your application and trying to get it set up in time to be one of the first submitted, you'll see it. And you'll be like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have had those extra 10 schools. Like, it's just how it is. Because not only does the primary application cost money, but then once you submit them, you start getting secondaries, and they roll in like a flood, like just a flood, a tsunami, a wave of emails coming in like, hey, thank you for the invite. Thank you for the primary application. Here's the secondary application or supplemental application. Go have fun. Go review it. And some schools will have 12 prompts with 500 word minimums. Some schools will have two. Like I think Harvard actually did literally have two. And it was literally like, what have you done since submitting this? What's your plans? And why do you want to do medicine? Why do you want to do us? Why do you want to join Harvard? What's the point? And that was like literally it. That was all their supplemental application was. And their supplemental application was I think like $50. And then some schools will be like 150. So $150 a pop per school. 30 schools you apply to, $100 a piece. That's $3,000. Not to mention you also have to write every single prompt as if it's like the last thing that you're gonna write in your life. Like you have to make it. You can't put some BS. You have to. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'm gonna get back to study. Neuroendocrines still kind of being a nuisance, but learning the motor tracks is fun. And with that, I wish you all a good day. Like it if you want, so I know to keep trying to upload publicly at least. And hopefully this shows up good for your device, so that way you can look back on this. And if you decide to take this path, you have something to go off of, especially if me and your mom aren't here. Um, with that, love you. See you guys later, and have a good day.